Hey you guys, it's Peter and welcome to my channel Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I have learned as I have grown into the person that I am today. And I think I'm finally getting over being sick, which I'm so grateful for. I went to my meeting last night and I got done filming my videos last night and I thought, I do not feel well, I'm losing my voice. And then I took a nap and I woke up from my nap and I went to my meeting. And I didn't feel great when I got home, so I went to bed early. And then I woke up this morning early, and I still feel like I'm kind of losing my voice a little bit. But I got up very early this morning because I am going to have my cousin fun day with my cousin Caroline today. So I thought, I'm going to film my videos before. I usually wait until I come home, and I was like, I'm going to film my videos before I go on cousin fun day today. So Caroline's coming to pick me up at 12:30. It is currently 20 after 10 right now. So I have filmed a drama video, and I have filmed a video for my reality TV channel, and now I'm filming this, and then I'm going to do a Peter Does Stuff video, and then we're going to do a review while we're out, and then my vlog. And I'm so excited because I'm getting so much done today, and I get to hang out with Caroline, and then I'm going to come back and watch my shows, and just a wonderful day all around. It's a little chilly in Indianapolis today. I feel like fall has finally arrived in Indianapolis. So, I'm drinking some coffee, made some coffee. It's a little cold right now, and I'm also drinking my Pedialyte. Stay hydrated a little bit. So I brought the Melody Beatty books with me. I thought we would read these today. So let's look and see what the Melody Beatty books had to say today. Let's look at The Language of Letting Go first. It is October 18th. Let's see what the universe is telling us today. Do you hear how windy it is outside? It's very Halloween-y. Okay, throwing out the rule book. Oh, this is a long meditation. Okay. Throwing out the rule book, October 18th. Many of us feel like we need a rule book, a microscope, and a warranty to get through life. We feel uncertain, frightened. We want the security of knowing what's going to happen and how we shall act. We don't trust ourselves or life. We don't trust the plan. We want to be in control. I've made terrible mistakes about my choices, mistakes that nearly destroyed me. Life has really shocked me. How can I trust myself? How can I trust life and my instincts after where I've been? Asked one woman. It is understandable that we fear being crushed again, considering the way many of us were when we bottomed out on our codependency. We don't have to be fearful. We can trust ourselves, our path, and our instincts. Yes, we want to avoid making the same mistakes again. We are not the same people we were yesterday or last year. It's important to remember that. We've learned, grown, and changed. We've learned, grown, changed. We did what we needed to do then. If we made a mistake, we cannot let that stop us from living and fully experiencing today. We have arrived at the understanding that we needed our experiences, even our mistakes, to get where we are today. Do we know that when we needed our life to unfold exactly as it did to find ourselves, our higher power, and this new way of life? Or is it part of us still calling our past a mistake? We can let go of our past and trust ourselves now. We do not have to punish ourselves with our past. We don't need a rule book, a microscope, a warranty. All we really need is a mirror. We can look into the mirror and say, I trust you. No matter what happens, you can take care of yourself. And what happens will continue to be good. Better than you think. Today I will stop clinging to the painful lessons of the past. I will open myself to the positive lessons today and tomorrow hold for me. Today I will stop clinging to the painful lessons of the past. I will open myself to the positive lessons today and tomorrow hold for me. I trust that I can and will take care of myself now. I trust that the plan is good, even when I don't know what it is. This is such a powerful meditation today. You know, and a good reminder for me too, I love the Maya Angelou quote that when you know better, you do better. But I don't necessarily think, I think I held myself to this standard for a long time, that when you learn a lesson and you make, like if you make a mistake and you learn a lesson the first time is when you know better, you do better. I don't know that today. I believe that's how we work as human beings. I believe sometimes, I believe that lessons are repeated until they are learned. I learned that from the Dr. Sherry Scott book, I love this book so much. If life were a game, these are the rules. And one of the rules that she says is, in life there will be lessons. Lessons are repeated until they are learned. I firmly and adamantly believe that in life will be presented with lessons. I believe that is what life is about, is being presented with lessons. Whether we learn them or not is on our own, you know. Oprah, I can remember, she talked about years ago that things come to us at first as like whispers, and then like the wind, and then as like a wall, and then as like a brick wall, and then as like a mountain, and like finally we hear it, but we don't necessarily hear it the first time. So it's hard to not beat ourselves up on not learning the lesson the first time. You know, sometimes we have to get in several bad relationships before we learn that we deserve to be in good relationships. We deserve to be loved appropriately. We deserve to be with people that love us appropriately. Sometimes we don't even know what being loved appropriately looks like. You know, I think for a long time, I thought that being talked down to, you know, or if somebody loved me, they would want to change me, or they would want to control me. I mean, I really was sick-minded like that and thought that. And so I found myself in relationship after relationship where people were trying to change me, and it's like, oh, well, they want me to be this person, they want me to be that person, I'll change for them, right? What I realized was, and I really learned this with my husband, Alex, you know, because when we were together in our first relationship, when we first got together in our first relationship, the only relationship we've had, when we first got together, I can remember there were a lot of things that like I wanted to change about him, and there were a lot of things that he wanted to change about me. And I remember we had this conversation about it, and he said, I think that we have to stop trying to change each other and accept each other where we're at, and we're going to either love each other as we are and as we change and grow. This was my husband at like 26, 27 years old, okay? I was like 38, 39, and he got it much sooner than I did. And he said, I think that we have to either love each other where we're at and continue to love each other as we change and grow and evolve, or this isn't going to work. Well, I think in every previous relationship that I was in, you know, I wanted to change and grow and evolve into what that person wanted me to be. And I wanted them to change and grow and evolve into the person I wanted them to be, instead of loving them and accepting them for who they were, right? You know, it was like I fell in love with this idea of who they could be, not necessarily who they were. And they fell in love with this idea of who I could be, not necessarily who I was. I think probably a lot of you out there relate to that. Instead of just accepting that person as who they are, you know? A flawed human being that's going to make mistakes, and it's not going to be a perfect human being. And as we change and we grow over time, you know, to realize, I mean, that's why relationships change a lot. You know, they ebb and they flow, because I might be in a place where I feel like I've learned a lot and I'm kind of stagnant for a little bit, where my husband might be growing. And there might be other points where my husband is kind of stagnant and he's like, okay, I'm like in a good place in my life, and I'm growing and I'm changing, right? And so we have to evolve with each other in a relationship. And that's, I think, relationships, you know? I think one of the hardest things for me was really understanding and accepting that life is really about, not about making mistakes, but accepting that we're going to make mistakes. And it's what you do with that. It's what you learn from that, right? Like, I was talking to a friend of mine last night. I went to my home group meeting last night, and I was talking to a friend of mine that I hadn't seen in quite some time. And I was talking about some stuff from my childhood. And they were sharing some stuff from their childhood. And I said, you know, one of the things that my sponsor pointed out to me recently that was so, like, profound was it wasn't necessarily stuff that happened to me in my childhood. This is very specific traumatic stuff that happened, much of which I've never talked about on video before. And I said, you know, it wasn't so much about, what my sponsor pointed out to me is, it wasn't so much about what had happened to me, and at 51 years old, continuing to be a victim of that, but it was, how did I respond to the world and the people around me going forward as an adult after that had happened to me? How did I relate to the world as a person that had gone through that traumatic event? And when she said that to me, you know, she said, we can't live in that traumatic experience for the rest of our life. Many people do. Many people choose to be victims for the rest of their life, and rightfully so. You go through a traumatic experience. If you want to live the next 60 years of your life as a victim of your traumatic experience. You have every right to do that. I don't personally want to do that. I don't want to relive my traumatic experiences over and over and over again. I want to learn from them. But what she said to me that was so profound was, who am I today in relationship to the world? How do I respond to the world? How do I respond to friendships? How do I respond to romantic relationships having gone through that traumatic experience? Who did it shape me into? How do I relate to the world as that person that went through that? That's what I need to take a look at. And when she said that to me, I was like, wow. It's not just what this person did to me, okay? Like, if you walked in my shoes, if you lived through what I went through, if you had what happened to you happen to me, then ... It was, okay, you've gone through this. How are you speaking to your husband as a result of that? How are you speaking to your friends? How are you giving trust? How are you gaining trust? How are you earning trust? How do you relate to trust? Do you trust people? How are you walking through life as a victim of this traumatic experience? When she said that to me, I was like, damn, you know? Followed up by one of the other most profound things that she ever said to me, which was, we cannot pick and choose our agnosticism. Which means that if you believe in a higher power, you can't say, God is in some of this stuff, but he's not in that kind of stuff, or she's not in that kind of stuff. You can't say that, right? Like, if you believe in a higher power is in everything. That was really hard for me to get behind, you know, to believe that, okay, because, you know, you'll be like, oh, well, that's a God moment, or this happened because of God, this happened because of God, oh, but God's not in that at all. You can't pick and choose your agnosticism and say, well, where's God then? But God was here for me then, right? Then God is kind of like this lottery ticket that happens when you want it to happen. It's kind of like this magic wand. That's not God, you know? And I'll never forget when she said that to me. We cannot pick and choose our agnosticism. Like, when we want to believe in God and when we don't want to believe in God, when it fits us and when it doesn't fit us, you know? And I'm so thankful for my sponsor, my therapist, because they see things that I don't see in my own life. I don't want to be a victim of my traumatic experiences for the rest of my life, nor do I want to ignore that they happened to me. That's important, okay? But it is important to me that I acknowledge that I am a victim of traumatic experiences in adulthood and as a child, and then ask myself, how am I walking through life? How am I relating to people? How am I looking at this as a result of what I went through? Because all of our experiences are different, and how we relate to the world is different, you know? It's like when I talk about grief, and I say everybody's grief is separate and different. Because, you know, I talk about my mom. Well, I was 36 when my mom passed. My mom and I were very, very close. My mom and I were both in recovery. We spoke a different language. I was an only child, okay? There's so many factors in what made our relationship specific versus somebody that's 16 when they lose a father. Father-daughter relationship is different than what I had. They were 16. Their father was 40, maybe. You know, there's so many things. Or a parent that dies at 85 or 80, you know? And maybe you hadn't spoken to your parent in 20 years. Like, the grief is going to be different. Well, what we go through with our traumatic experiences is different. What we go through with the mistakes that we make in our life and how we learn and grow from them is different. I don't beat myself up anymore for making mistakes. Well, I try not to, I should say. Sometimes I do. But I try not to. I try to sit back and go, once the dust is settled, and the dust is cleared, go, okay, what can I learn from this? Maybe I haven't learned the first 5 times that I made that mistake. Maybe I haven't learned the first 10 or 20 times. But am I willing to look at it now and maybe learn from it? Is the takeaway and the lesson that I learned from the mistake that I made greater than the mistake itself? Because if so, then the lesson and the takeaway, wow, that is powerful. That is profound. Then my life is growing and changing from the mistakes that I've made. I've had amazing successes in my life. But in all honesty, I've learned more from the mistakes that I've made. I don't want to make a lot of mistakes in my life. I'd rather live a mistake-free life, but that's not going to happen, right? You know, so, I mean, it could be the smallest thing, too, from, like, standing in the kitchen with my t-shirt up against the counter that I just sprayed bleach on, all right? Like, that's a lesson I just recently learned. When all of my shirts have bleach stains, does this one have it on there? All of my shirts have bleach stains on the bottom of it. I'm like, I don't understand. My friend says to me, it's because you're standing up against your counter with bleach, okay? And I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Now I'll learn and grow, okay? Did it happen again? Absolutely. A week later, I had another shirt with bleach stains on it. Now, I'm very aware that there's bleach on the counter, okay? Because I just cleaned the kitchen counter, and I don't want to stand so close to my t-shirt. It took me a couple times to learn that, right? So, life is about learning. Once you accept that and you lean into that, your life becomes forever changed. I want my life forever changed. I want my life to mean something. I want my life to stand for something. If not to just myself. But I want your life to stand for something too, you know? So that was a powerful meditation for me. I needed to be reminded of a lot of the things that I said today. This was a good meditation for me. Anyway, I hope that you guys are having a magically amazing day. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.